The AllStar app, the #1 app in the business. UFC, Bellator, One Championship, PFL, and more. Get the app right now. Link in description. Damon, in the UFC, man, you have wins, you have mostly wins. You have losses. You have a draw, and you also have a no contest in your career so far. You've pretty much experienced every single outcome possible. What does that
Yeah,
do to your level of preparation, your level of like outlook, moving on with your career, and how has that affected, maybe even your performance?
it's important to finish fights, man. It's always been important to me. So just kind of putting it in the hands of the judges, you never know what you're going to get. So when I first had that first experience with the UFC, I'd only been fighting for a year and a half when I made it to the UFC. So was not well rounded. Did not know what I was doing. Didn't have know how to fight well rounded fighters. So just over the years, learning that experience of finishing fights, that's the way to go. And I try to do that every fight.
Looking back at signing with the UFC after only a year and a half of fighting, man, that's insane to me.
Yeah,
Like that's like going to the NBA, like
yeah,
basically like right out of high school, but you only played in high school years, right? Like how was that? Like
yeah.
was it overwhelming at some point?
I kind of always knew that was my goal since seventh grade was to kind of go through that whole process of wrestling for years and learning jujitsu and going through that before I made it in. So whenever I got the opportunity to sign on a short notice, I didn't really hesitate at all. I was just like, let's go, and because that's what I wanted. And I wasn't prepared for sure, but maybe I could have went out there and sub, somebody and been in a different position. But it was just right away. I had the Yancy Medeiros fight short notice, and then it was Ronnie Jason in Brazil with his home crowd and him cheating and do whatever else he was doing. And then I went to New York and fought someone. I don't even know his name. I forgot. And so it's just like I got put in the fan zone everywhere I went. I was the opposing player, and it was just it was tough. But it is what it is. I'm just ready to thankful I'm back and getting an opportunity to fight and moving forward, man.
How insane when you look back at that Ronnie Jason fight, man, going to Brazil. And Brazil's not like, what I mean, it's not like going to fight in, for example, Fight Island in Abu Dhabi. It's a whole nother experience, man. And it
Yeah,
was a few years
yeah,
back. So I heard it's not the same. Like, what did you get out of that?
yeah. I didn't fight in Rio either. I fought in Guyana, so it's like central Brazil. So it's nothing but farms. It's like farm country, and then in the middle of nowhere, there's a city, and so just the experience from that was just crazy because like everyone there. I genuinely thought that it was like, if I win, I'm probably gonna die. If I get beat up, they're gonna make fun of me. They're gonna chant whatever they chant that you're gonna die. They say the same thing. I'm like, these guys are like they're like it's in them internal. It's like they're there to fight, and their whole culture is based around they're tough. That's it.
Have you had thick skin mostly throughout your career, or something that you have built up?
Yeah, no. I always like I talk a lot of smack to my friends and my family and stuff, and so like for me, it like my dad was like, there's no way like whatever you had going on, my dad was gonna call you out. He's probably gonna make fun of you, like whatever it was. So like I've grown up with that. That's just kind of what I've known, forever. It's just like don't just let it roll off your shoulders, whatever. And like people talk smack to me, or they'll send me my fight with me getting knocked out with that knee in PFL, and I'm like, oh, okay, it's bad night in the office, or like I say, like, oh yeah, how original, like you're like you're still a loser, like what do you like, what do you even say, like I just like I'm like whatever, man, like it is what it is, like I'm there for that one fight. I'm trying to zone in and focus on Dan right now, and that's my goal is to get in there with Dan and to beat Dan and to be better than Dan that night.
What's the level of trash talk? Because my dad used to bust my balls, and he'd love to do it in front of
Yeah.
my friends all the time. Like
Oh,
that's why I didn't even bring people to my house.
bro. Yeah, people would come to my house. My dad would, he wouldn't even know people, and he would like be dogging them. I'm like, Dad, like, chill. You can't say that. Like, but no, my dad, he's got so much love in everything he does, and he might say something that will piss some people off and offend you, but he's the first person to step up and he'll have your back anytime that it's needed. So,
Yeah, man. Yeah, dads. I think those dads are the best, man. The ones that will just break your balls until you
yeah,
develop this skin that when you go out to the real world, it doesn't affect you as much.
No, I do. I kind of do the same thing with my girls. Like every time I get a chance to burn them, I mean, on a daily basis, I'm doing something, but then like I'll sit back and I'm like busy doing something and they're going to burn each other. And they say stuff and I'm like, I'm hoping that it sticks with them to where it's not personal. Like I'm messing with them. They know I love them. They know that, I'll do anything for them. And it's just funny to me that they've kind of picked up on the same thing where they're really good at being a smart aleck. And it's something that gets them in trouble with their mom a little bit. But for me, I laugh at it. I'm like, when they say something, I'm like, oh my God, that's funny. Like, it's funny. But
Yeah, for sure, for sure. There's the balance, man. The balance now. Right now,
yeah.
man, you're sitting at four straight wins, man. Four straight wins is a hell of a streak, especially in the featherweight division. In any division in the UFC, man, if you have four straight wins, it's
Yeah.
an incredible feat for yourself. You know what I mean? Like, what were the, I don't want to say secrets, but what were some of the changes? You know what I mean? Some of the key adjustments you've made just to be allowing yourself to be in this position.
You look at my career outside of my first UFC stint, like after, before my UFC stint when I was in an LFA or LFC, it was like I smashed everybody. I subbed everybody and I got released by them and I was like, oh my God, it's like a wake up call. Like I might not get this opportunity again. So I was like working my ass off. And this whole time, that's all I've been doing is just time in the mat and time in the gym and time training, sparring, working through different fight camps, helping my teammates out with their fight camps and things like that. So it's just time in the mat, man. That's the big difference and the big change is the experience level from a year and a half to being, you know, 15 years in this thing. It's like, it's a big, big change for sure.
When you look at those four fights, I mean, you walked away with the victories, but there is always adversity in every single fight, right? Like, which one you
Yeah.
feel like you overcame the most, just like pre-fight and during the fight?
The Bektik fight was kind of crazy because I've 3 day notice. Like you can say you're prepared all the time, and you can say that you'll fight anyone, but when you say that and you got to back it up, it's two different things. So it's like that fight was tough, man. I really thought I had that guillotine in the first, and I was like, oh, because I knew I was gonna get him with that. I was like, he's gonna shoot in, and I'm gonna sub him with this guillotine for sure. And I told my coach that, and he was like, "Well, what else is the game plan?" I'm like, that's it. I'm gonna get him in the first round, and it's over." And so when he shot in on me, and I had it locked up, and it was so tight, and I was like, "This is really happening." And then he ends up getting out of it, and you gotta roll with it and keep going and figure it out as you go. But definitely, that was a tough fight.
Yeah, man. You walked away with the victor on that one. Now let's talk about this upcoming fight, man. You got a ranked opponent. You expected it, and you got it.
Mhm.
Are you surprised though a little bit? Like they allowed, not allowed, but they kind of offered you this guy.
Hey, me and him set this up. So I was like, I hit him up. I'm just because I'm like, I don't want to talk smack to any of these guys. Like, I don't want to sit here and look like an idiot. And then for them to not give me the fight, and then I say all these hurtful, negative things about someone, I'm like, it's just dumb. I'm like, I hit this guy up. I'm like, I hit up Dan Ige, Alex Caceres, Julian Rosa, Sadiq, and someone else. I hit up everybody, and I was like, hey. Like, and I did it individual. I didn't do it on like group message or anything. And I was like, hey, I had nothing but respect for you guys, or nothing but respect for you. Would love to have this matchup. If you want to get one more in this year, let me know. And so I hit everybody up, and Dan Inge is the only one that hit me up and responded. Julian Rosa said he was already matched up with Caceres, but Dan Inge and Julian were the only ones that responded. And Dan's like, he's like, man, you've been killing it. You've been on a win streak. You've been killing it. So you definitely deserve top 15. Let's see if we can get it lined up. So then I didn't really hear anything from him for a little while, but we both went to Shelby and I went to Jason and got it lined up as much as I could. And sure enough, they made the matchup, and it's pretty cool.
It is cool, man, that how you set that up with him, and because nowadays, it seems like a lot of fighters are faking the funk a little bit, right, with these call
Yeah,
outs.
I mean, dude, I mean, give me a break. It's like how many Colbys and how many McGregors are there? There's not a lot of guys. I mean, Chael Sonnen was the best to do it. He was the best at trash talking, the best at like just like what do you like what? That's hilarious. Or like, it's crazy shit. But like I've got way too much going on. I've got too many kids around me that I care what they think of me and I care about what these kids are seeing out of me and how I represent myself. So I don't want to be the guy talking trash and doing all this stuff. I just want to be there to perform. This is the ultimate competition for me, and that's why it's not an emotional sport for me. Like I don't think of this as a fist fight, and I'm trying to like fight you for pride. It's all about competing and winning. Those are things that's my pride is that the winning part of it.
Now looking at Dan Ige, man, he's probably one of the toughest guys in that top 15, just out of straight grit. You know what I mean? He's hard to finish. He's
Go.
lost four decisions in his last five fights, but he's just nobody can finish him, man. What are you seeing him?
Nah, I mean, you look at the caliber of opponents he's fought. I mean, he's fighting Josh Emmett, who's fighting for the title, and he's fought Calvin Kattar, who's fought for the title. He's fought Chan Sung Jung, who's fought for the title. In Movar, like however you say his name, Movar or whatever. He's on his way to the title, and dude's been tested. He's he doesn't get finished. I'm like, what the hell? Uh, every fight I'm looking to go into and finish fights for sure, but I'm not basing my whole camp around just looking for finishes only. I'm taking advantage of whatever's there.
Which fight do you feel like you learned the most from just watching those back
For myself or for him.
for him? From him.
Um, seeing the dog come out of him in the second and third round and get finishes like that, and to come back and win fights after he was down in the first, just shows the kind of fighter and the person that he is. So I think that seeing him get knocked down in the first round of a couple different fights, and then coming back and having like a split decision against these killers. So it's like he's a tough dude, man. He's been tested, and he's been right there in the mix for a long time.
Is that part of does that part of him excite you more? Does it drive you
Oh,
more?
hell yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah, yeah. No, 100%. I mean, anybody that can get you know, kind of skip around the line and get to fight a guy like that, you would be a fool not to take advantage of it. It's a test for yourself, but um, it's that whole like at the end of the time, like once I'm done fighting and everybody looks back at my record and they see like, oh, this guy fought this guy fought this guy, and he beat this guy, whatever. And it's like it's for some of me, this is a true test, and he's a true warrior. He's a true like vet to the game. He's been around. He's fought the toughest of tough. He's fought 5 round fights. He's fought main events. He's been co-main event. He's been on so many different big cards that he's a test for sure.
I don't want to say he's is he a gatekeeper? Like, because he's
Mm,
fought the best guys and he's beat some really really good prospects and really really solid like top 15 guys. But then there's certain guys that he's lost to that are pretty much fighting for the title now or on the verge of a title shot. So it could be
yeah.
possibly the same thing for you. You know what I mean? Like it could be something that it
Yeah,
could leapfrog you.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean it's right there. It's a winner kind of this. Whoever takes this one is moving forward, and whoever doesn't get it, it's just it is what it is. You got to fight your way back from all this adversity. I know he's backs on the wall, but he's fought some of the toughest guys, so I know that he's got the UFC's respect, and he's got the fans' respect, and he's got my respect. But this is going to be a dogfight for sure.
Yeah, it could, man. You guys could kick. Usually at the beginning of the year, you always have these matchups and these fights
Hmm.
that are like, oh my God, this is fight of the year, but it's only January. And this could be it. This
Yeah,
could be one of those fights, right?
you never know, man. It really could. It really could be. Yeah,
But you want to get the win, you want to get the finish, right? Like, what do you envision
yeah.
in this fight, though? It's gonna be something that's gonna not come easy, but it could come easy. Who knows, man? Fights, they're so unpredictable.
You never know, man. Honestly, you never know. I never thought that my last fight was gonna go down the way it did, but it's like I knew I was gonna come out there and get after that kid, and he's a young, tough kid, and I knew that it was gonna be a test, and just worked out great for me. But this fight, I'm coming forward. I know he's gonna be ready. I know he's coming forward, and it's gonna be a scrap for sure.
No doubt, man. A couple other questions outside the fight that I wanted to ask you about. You went back and forth with Derek Minner. Now Derek Minner is involved in this whole like fight
Yeah.
fixing, gambling situation. He was cut by the UFC, man. When you see that, man, and it's not a good look, right, for the sport.
No, you can't judge the whole sport from that. He's in a position. I don't really know his financial position. I know he was in some trouble, and he was behind on whatever he was doing, and that was his get out of jail free card. And who knows how many of those fights he would have got? I don't think he would have had much many more fights in the UFC. So not surprised that he did try to do something like that. I hate seeing that him and James are both in trouble because this is like serious stuff, and I hate seeing it. I don't really care for Derek, or I don't really know them that well, but it's like it sucks, man, because I know they have families. I know that's what they were thinking in the back of their head is, hey, I'm gonna do this for my family. Somehow they thought that was right and that was okay, but it's not a good look. But I don't like seeing them. I don't want to see any. I wish they would just kind of get a slap on the wrist, but I think it's going to be more than that for sure.
Yeah, I'm looking at this as something in a positive light before it becomes something so bad that we have no choice to but look at it negative. So hopefully they did not do anything wrong. It's still up in the air, right? But it doesn't look good. It doesn't
Yeah,
look good when Dana White goes from one week saying, "Oh, they're just investigating," to the next week it's like it's fucking federal prison. In the interviews, like it's
yeah,
federal, like it's like
yeah,
whoa, Dana,
yeah,
there's must
yeah.
be something wrong,
No,
buddy.
it's real. It's whatever, man. It's either way. Like a day in jail, prison, whatever. It's like scary. So, but you can't be doing dumb shit like that. So, hopefully, people learn from that and people start feeling safe to bet on the fights because it's more realistic. It's the most realistic sport in the world. And so yeah, maybe you have like this fight that happened once. Maybe there's been other fights that have been questionable. But if you ask me or you ask anybody from my gym if they're gonna willingly go out there and lose, like Alex Morono just fought last week, and he literally said, I would trade my money in. I would trade all that in for me to get that win because he was up 2 rounds. He was up 2.5 rounds and then lost it. And I'm like, golly, he was smashing. And I know that feeling where you're like, fuck, take my money, just let me have the win. Let me have that. Let me have that last round back. And like, like there's so many fighters that treat it like that, and there's maybe one out of that, 2 or 3 thousand fighters that would do something stupid like this. So just if you're a fan or if you always bet on the fights, just keep doing it because the fighters are real. Like we're all real. Like that. I mean, those guys are just like they're bogus. They're phony. There's very few of them for sure.
Yeah, man. I love Alex Morono, man. He's such a good guy too, man. I was
Yeah,
watching that fight. I
dog,
was like,
dude,
this dude's gonna pull it off
fucking
again, like
dog.
because
Oh,
he's
dude,
done it before.
he's smashing. He was absolute. That was a 30-27 fight going that way, and golly, this sport's just nuts, man. It's like, oh my god, head kick, or like you don't know what's gonna happen, and that's why you tune in.
January 14th, man. You'll be back in that
Oh yeah,
octagon. UFC Vegas 67. Go in the descriptions. Download the AllStar app. Damon, thank you, man, so much for the time, man, and all the best in this fight, man. A crucial
heck
matchup
yeah,
in this
man.
division.
Yeah, no, I'm excited, man. I'm ready to go.